We all have that one friend, the one who says exactly what's on their mind, no matter what. And that's Shital Mars.
That's right. Every week, my friends and I dive into whatever's on my mind: sports, politics, pop culture, even my own struggles, you name it. If I'm thinking about it, we're talking about it.
Unfiltered, unapologetic, and just a little dangerous. Get ready for the wild ride that is Shital Weapon. You've been warned.
I cannot believe after all the word vomit from episode 1 that we've made it to episode 2 of Sheathal Weapon. I'm so
I
excited. I'm doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. Let's say that.
Well, it was a word vomit for you. For me, I didn't get to say much because I couldn't be heard.
That's right. We do have better mics. Well, no, we don't have better mics. We have the same mics, but now they work. I'm Lethal Sheathal. This is Biggie Trog. Yes, we are going to lean in hard on those names that we've established in episode 1. This is the second episode, and I don't know how you found me. I don't know how anyone is listening to this. I can only imagine 4 people actually could have found this, and only because I told them. So if
Well,
you're here on accident,
the
I'm
good news is
sorry.
those 4 people are our family.
That's true. By the way, so given that it's probably mostly family listening to this, I'm going to start off the show with huge trigger warning. Today's show is about ADHD, but not ADHD in that, like, all the quirks and all the little things and all the symptoms of whatever it is to have ADHD and all those mannerisms and things that go with ADHD. Part of doing this show was I wanted a place where I could be my authentic self, and I want to get out early the part of me that I can only describe as a bridge troll. Like, that's the part of me that I'm most embarrassed about. It's the part of me I hide. It's the part of me that I only let out in doses to anybody, whether it's you or friends or anybody else. And so today we're going to shine a light on my internal bridge troll and see how far we get and just let it go. And that way I can establish it. We all know this is part of me, and we can move on from it without ever having to acknowledge it ever again.
Well, I'm very excited because this is a topic that is near and dear to me as well. So, when you say bridge troll, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, and so there are light and bright facets to my personality. There's the humor and the creativity, and there's things that I can genuinely say that I like about myself. There's the part of me that is, hobgoblin esque. There's the part of me that I can only describe as like Scarecrow from Batman. Like, that's the person that lives in my head and talks to me. It's me, but it's a really cruel, awful version of me. Like, she's a major bitch. I don't like her. But today she's going to talk. And I kind of found in this journey and coming to the place where I finally have the confidence to do this, finally have the confidence to do a show and talk and be true to myself. I have to acknowledge the many, 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 many years before that ability. Like, what was that like? Because I find that with finding out that I have ADHD very late in my 30s, after having a child, after having gone to school, after being married, after being a professional, really having much of my life established, finding out now is like a gift and a curse at the same time. So when you find these things out about yourself, you go down like that giant rabbit hole abyss of ADHD content on TikTok and YouTube and the articles and everything else that you can consume about this new label that you can apply to yourself. And what I find that I see a lot is a lot of the content is, how do you cope with it? How do you manage it? How do you communicate who you are to people who love you and care about you? How do you get the world to tolerate you in a sense, or and then how do you feel okay about it, right? There's a lot of content that describes the little things that people with ADHD do as cute and quirky and funny and adorable, and I don't ever feel any of those things. And like I want to feel those things, and I think eventually I'll feel those things, but I don't. Everything that they describe in those videos and in those articles are the things that I desperately try to hide about myself. Like those are the those that's the bridge troll. And I really want that bridge troll to go away. I want to be like everybody else, and I can't. And so I knowing that now there's a having an answer makes me feel better. I I am more confident. There is something to knowing that there is nothing you can do about it. There are tips, there are tricks, there are techniques, there are ways to make yourself more functional and happier for yourself and for your family and whoever else, but it doesn't go away. There's no cure. And so there is a piece to that. But I wish there were more content about what it's like when you don't have that piece. What and especially what it's like, and I also find that the content that's out there is predominantly created by white people living in white society, living in white America. And so their experience with it, they're more open, they're more able to talk about it. They're more it's more accepted. It's more like, haha, you my friend is funny. They have ADHD. And if you think about it, it's all younger white men, middle-aged white men, or younger and middle-aged white women that talk about it. And for women, they're the ones they do talk a lot about getting diagnosed later in life. And they go, okay, now I know why I am the way I am. Here's how I manage it. Here's how I cope with it. And it doesn't talk about what happened to you, all the things that happened to you before you got there. And the world is really not built for people who are neurodivergent. It's not built for autistics. It's not built for people with anxiety. It's not built for people with depression. It's not built for people with ADHD. And so I find that we got to acknowledge a big elephant in the room that people with ADHD or any type of spectral disorder are highly likely to be abused by people who love them, or say they love them, by their family, by their friends, by society, by the world. And it takes a lot to get past all of that and keep going. So, trigger warning, we are going to talk about some really dark themes today. We are going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about suicidal thoughts. We're going to talk about trauma. I'm going to ugly cry. Like that's this episode is I'm going to ugly cry. And if I do my job right, I'm going to get you to ugly cry too. So you're sitting there going, I didn't sign up for all that. I don't need all that this morning. I want to go home. I want to lay in bed. You go do that. Like this is not the episode for the jokes, which I hope to get past this part and get into like just feeling really good and talking about topics. But I do think I want to address this really first and early in this series of episodes that are predominantly about me.
Well, so you mentioned discovering it late in life. So how long have you known that you have ADHD?
About 8 months. About 8 months. I found out, I think, May. No, April or May. I found out that I have ADHD. And the reason I found out, first of all, shout out to Dr. D, who is my doctor. That's my ride or die doctor. I'm going to stick with that guy no matter what. He could move. I will find him. Like, that's my guy. Um, that came after many years in a really dark place, like really, really obscenely dark. And I came to this realization like, okay, I have to live. I have to continue to live. And I don't want to live this way. And a second part of that was realizing or thinking or believing that the depression that I was experiencing, the thoughts that I was having, Wasn't the cause, it was the symptom. And going to doctor after doctor after doctor. And one of these episodes is going to be about healthcare because I we have to talk about it. But the standard of care for females in America is to treat your femaleness first. Like I don't know a single woman who doesn't have a prescription for birth control and Lexapro in their house. Like that's you know, you could be missing an arm and they would go, "You know what you need? You need birth control and you need Lexapro and maybe you need Ozempic." Like now we've added a third to the cocktail, but it's one of those it probably all three is like, let's treat what's wrong with you as a female, like the birth control so you don't procreate, like the Lexapro so you're less annoying, and the Ozempic so you're more attractive to the world. Then, and only then, if you're still sick, well, maybe that's just you're too bad. Like they you don't even get lisinopril. Like you don't get rosuvastatin. You don't get anything. You get those three, and then you just gotta suck it up and deal. And I remember going doctor to doctor to doctor going, if you tell it's not my hormones, I'm not depressed. I am depressed. That's the problem. The symptom is my depression. Something is wrong with me and I'm depressed and I want to figure it out. So no, I don't want more Lexapro. I don't want a higher dose. No, I don't want to change my birth control. No, I don't want Ozempic. I just want to feel better. I can continue to live my life as a bridge troll. I just want to be happier about it. Like that's all I want. And so I going from place to place and completely being ignored and shut down and told it's in my head, told it's my hormones, told it's my diet, told it's my environment, told it's like just go to talk therapy, whatever it is, didn't work. And I was really desperate. I was really desperate. I was on a path that led to me not living and I needed to continue to live. So I kept searching and I out of happenstance got assigned to Dr. D and just talked to him like, look. And I think I was going there because I was fat. I actually was looking for Ozempic, let me tell you. I gained a lot of weight. And I was like, I need to be skinnier. There's I don't like this. I was looking I was I did not like what I was looking at in the mirror. But in all honesty, when I was in that appointment, I said, "Look," and I didn't qualify. I didn't have the BMI to get for Ozempic, but I'm like, honestly, I just want to feel better. If I don't lose weight, but I feel better, I'm happy. I don't necessarily need this treatment. And he looks at me and goes, "Okay, we've been talking for about 5 minutes. Um, I think you have ADHD." Like, and he goes, if I'm right, me treating your ADHD will do more for you than anything else you have ever tried in your life. It will do more for you than Zoloft, than Lexapro, than Ozempic, than I don't need any of those things. It will do more for you than thyroid medication and vitamin D, all that stuff I still have that. I still need thyroid medication. I still need all of that stuff. But he's like, if I'm right, this will do wonders for you. And I can honestly say for me, having that first prescription of generic Adderall was life-changing. It was absolutely life-changing. It and then you go and you start learning and learning and learning. And I was really afraid to be on Adderall. I don't do drugs. Don't like to drink, don't smoke, don't touch the stuff. I believed all my life that in 5th grade they show you that video, like that dare video, and they show you the party and there was this young girl who goes, "Hey, she had a bright future, but she touched weed once and now she's a hooker on 8th Avenue." Like that's I was everybody believes when they start taking drugs that they're the exception. "Ooh, I'm gonna have a good time. Oh, it's not gonna impact me." I fully believed I was the rule, not the exception. I'm the hooker on 8th Avenue. Like, so don't even go down that road. Don't touch it. don't be anywhere near it. And so I was nervous to go on Adderall because it's a stimulant and it's highly addictive. And I will tell you, my doctor said something interesting. He said, when you don't have ADHD, a stimulant gives you a kind of flying top of the world kind of high. Like you can go, 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 go. And but if you do have ADHD and you take Adderall, it should calm you down. It kind of goes, ooh, like this. And so the first dose I took, I was sitting there waiting to be like flying, and I didn't fly. I calmed. And what I felt in that moment was, oh, now I feel like either my brain is slowing down to match the pace of my body, or my body is speeding up to match the pace of my brain. Either way, I felt like I'm like syncing up a little bit. And I'm like, oh, shit, I can wash some fucking dishes. Shit, I can do laundry. That's amazing. Do you know what it feels like to be able to do laundry when you can't do laundry? Like, that's an amazing feeling when when you fold clothes.
Oh,
Like,
you're gonna have to tell me all about that because I still don't know how to do that.
yeah. No, the worst thing. So there's 3 steps, and anybody with ADHD will tell you, will break everything down into tasks. There are 3 steps. There's no, there's 1,000 steps. First, it's wanting to. Then it's really wanting to. Then it's getting up. Then it's going into the room where the laundry is, and bypassing all of the things that you see you need to do on the way, right? So it's 1,000 tests, but let's break it down in the main 3: washing, drying, folding, right? Washing, drying, putting away. I rock washing. I rock washing so
Hmm.
hard. I can get clothes into the washing machine. I can get them clean. And you know how I know they're clean? Because I've washed them 4 times. You know why I washed them 4 times? Because I got it into the washer and then did something else and completely forgot that it needs to go in the dryer. So it's now there for at least 24 hours. And when it sits there in its wetness, it's dirty again. So you run it again and you wait. And eventually, either someone puts it in the dryer for you with their eye rolls and their criticism, or you remember. You just sit there and you remember and you do it. Then it's drier to to like the hanger or to the drawer or to the shelf, whatever it is that you have to do with it. And that takes a minimum of 3 weeks. The only time I put away my clothes is when I need the baskets because I have to wash more clothes. But I find this very sustainable because I'm
Mm.
naturally a hoarder. So my closet is full of clothes. I have the clothes in the basket. I don't use those clothes. I use all the clothes that I didn't wear. So my closet is very used.
I find this very interesting. For a little background, I might also have ADHD. There is a very real chance. A long time ago, I got a test, and the result of that test was ADHD question mark. And from that moment, I was like, yeah, I don't want to find out because I was also terrified of Adderall. That whole DARE program really, really had an impact
It's
on me too.
powerful. It's
I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to get addicted to Adderall. I'm gonna be just that guy who's just on the street, looking for more pills. And I was like, nah, it's fine. I'll just live this way. So I completely understand. However, you speaking about laundry, I have never successfully gotten my clothes folded. And the way I do laundry is when my basket has run out of clothes, it's ready for more clothes.
so I used to believe my whole life up until I got help and diagnosis and support. I believe my whole life your floor was the biggest shelf in your house, and so that is where the clothes go. They come out, they go on the floor, and the floor is infinite. There's infinite floor. You can crawl over the laundry, you can tiptoe, you can hop, but there seems to always be more floor. So I would just lay out baskets upon baskets and piles upon piles on the floor. And that was how I lived my life. And yes, I don't think until recently, except for like doing it for my son, I don't think until recently I had ever successfully done a load of laundry and put it away and done it to completion. Like I don't think I ever had. It just didn't seem necessary. Now I can iron. There is something very therapeutic about ironing. Like I love to iron. I love to get the wrinkles out. So when clothes are all wrinkled from being in the floor and in the basket for 6 to 8 weeks. So you pull your outfit out and you iron. And you're like, ah, clean slate. Today's gonna be a good day. It would have been a lot easier if it was already like not wrinkled, but I don't mind ironing. But I digress. Like that's kind of like the positive. Like, oh, I can do laundry now. But like going back to it, getting to that place to one admit I need help, one to like seek it out, one to have another thing to have someone listen. Again, shout out Dr. D, to have someone listen with a smile and not roll their eyes and not be dismissive was it took a lot to get there. It takes a lot to get there. And so if you're younger millennials and Gen Zers, you're more apt to be open about mental health struggles. You're more likely to go seek out professional help, therapy, medicine, whatever it is. But I do find that being an Asian woman, that the barrier to entry of seeking help is a much higher, even as a younger person, even as someone who grew up in a healthcare environment, who grew up in like around it, grew up around mental health issues my whole life. I mean, we grew up with it. Our parents, our uncles, our aunts, our grandparents, all it was very open and honest about there's mental health difficulty throughout the whole family. So it was
I
very
think that made it
accepting of.
harder.
I think it made it harder, but it puts that barrier up. So even with what should have made it easier for us to be open and honest about our struggles, made it harder. And for me, especially for me, and looking at the content, y- there's a lot that talks about with ADHD, you never feel good enough. You feel guilty. There's the bridge troll in your head going, you suck. Every goddamn day, you suck. And every minute of every day of everything that you do, there's something, some voice in your head that goes, you suck. That's one thing. When you're a child of immigrant parents, when you're Asian or you're melanated in some way, and you grow up in a world, yes, the world is not friendly, even for when you're white and have mental health struggles. The world is not friendly. Your home is not friendly. It's not a safe place. But when I want to like just take that up another level, like Asians Asians are extra about it. Like they are a power of will kind of people. So when they see deficiency in you, they Asian parents were very much corporal punishment. They're very much, if you just are violent enough, if you just criticize enough, if you just yell enough, if you just ostracize enough, like being disowned is a very real thing in our culture. If you just make it hard enough for your child to exist the way they are, they will change their behavior and be a better kid. And that is what we grew up with. And I think even just creating even more separation between me and you as my brother, being a girl with those problems was absolutely unacceptable. Like, you and I have talked about this before in our life. From the time I was 4 years old till the day I left for college, there wasn't a single day that went by that I didn't hear, "What's wrong with you?" that I didn't hear not even what's wrong with you, that I heard everything that you are is wrong. And that's not even the
Hmm.
voice in my head. That is external. Those are audible, articulated words that I heard every single day. There is something wrong with you, and not just something, everything. Every ounce of your personality, your being, the way you look, the way you talk, the way you sound, the way you play, the way you study, the way you learn, the way you breathe, the way you eat is wrong. And I didn't just get that from mom and dad, because I got that from brothers. I got that from you. I got that from
Hmm.
our older brother. I got that from cousins. I got that from uncles, aunts. The phone calls. Just, why can't you be better? Your brothers are perfectly capable of being better. And for you, you were able to be find a way to be out of the way enough that, I guess, you, and that's a different thing. You were just ignored. Like, you
Right.
didn't
I
exist.
well, I was given up on immediately. See, for me, the what I got was, oh, that one's just a mistake. That one, i- they were they had recognized how broken I was, that they didn't even think they could fix it. They're just like, nah, that one's screwed. There's
That
no
one's
hope for that one.
you were the dumpling that got made from the leftovers. Like, that's like, ooh, somebody'll eat that.
And it's a attack on your character that you get every single day, being told, oh well, you're just lazy, you just don't care, you know, why don't you want it more. All those types of things. So for instance, like the laundry thing, you know, how could you not fold the clothes? Don't you want to look good? Why do you want your clothes to be wrinkled? All of that, as though it's something we choose, as though it's something that we just want to be lazy and fail to do tasks to completion.
Right. And that's what you heard all the time, every day, from beginning of childhood. Your earliest cognition is that. My earliest memories are are either violent or being, chastised. Like, and that forms your personality in a very specific way. And because our family is a very power of will kind of people, and in a weird religious way, like, you did something wrong in your past life to have deserved being the fucked up person that you are, like, God
Hmm.
is punishing you.
Oh,
And
what did you do?
yeah, what's and again, what's wrong with you? Why, or in our case, I heard several times, being like, our parents going, "What did they do wrong in a past life to deserve me? What did they do wrong? Why was I inflicted upon them?" And so that was the challenge every single day, to get past it. And that hard wire of, not what's wrong with you. You are wrong. Your very
Hmm.
existence is an aberration on humanity. Like, that's how I believed, and that's what I walked through life with for at least 30 years. And then you have societal pressure. There's nobody around you that looks like you. There's nobody around you who understands the culture. There's nobody around you who gives a shit. And you're failing constantly, because everything about you is wrong, and no matter how hard you try, you can't not be wrong.
I think
Your
it's
every natural inclination is wrong.
I think it's important to touch on that cultural aspect, what the difference is, because you mentioned that for white people, in that culture, in American culture, uh, being diagnosed with ADHD is not a big deal. They're like, oh, that's funny, and it, yeah, it's annoying. It may be difficult, and it's not to downplay the struggles that they go through, because it's hard for everyone. But in American culture, it's fine, or more fine at least, to get a B in a class, for example, to fail at certain things. But in our culture, you get a B in a class, you may as well have failed the class.
Well, in our culture, you have to super succeed. Like it's not even that you got the A. You have to get the
Hmm.
super A. You have to be the best. And if you're not the best, you're nothing. And that like so pack on that you have this. Don't know you have this. So you fully believe everything about you is wrong. Then you start failing. And not failing like I getting Fs. Failing like you got a 98 when you should have gotten a 100.
Hmm.
There is no room for error. There is no room for mistake, for thinking, for planning. Like you even have to be decisive. Like you have to do it right the first time and every time. Like you don't have practice. There's no such thing as practice. And so that's what you have to go through. And very quickly, by the time I was 13, I was suicidal. And documented suicidal. Like I if everything about me is wrong, and if you hear every day you are not wanted, nobody wants you, everything that's wrong with this family is you. And I don't know if you and our older brother heard that. I think I got most of that, which is everyone is suffering because of you. Everyone is suffering because you're wrong. Something is wrong with you. Everything is wrong with you. What's wrong with you? And you're making it hard for your brothers to be. You're making it hard for us to be. You're making it hard for your family. You're making it hard for your teachers. You're making it hard for your friends. In that world, the the up until 13, at least the safety of my universe, I had a safe place because it was in my head. I was a child. I could have an imagination. I could build a world in my brain and retreat to it. So my safe universe was skin deep, skin tight, really. Anything external to my body was an unsafe place. And then you turn 13, and now even inside you is an unsafe place. Now all the words that are outside you are inside you, and you hear it. And even if it's not being said by someone real, you're saying it to yourself to remind yourself, remember, everyone hates you. And for the content, they're like, "Oh, you just imagine that." It's an anxiety thing. Nobody actually hates you, except that I heard it in real words from someone and people who should have loved me. I heard it in real time. And so then it's hard, right? Like it's not a soft anxiety, it's a real anxiety. And so you know that if you step out of line, yeah, the consequences are violence. The consequences are emotional abuse. The consequences are psychological abuse. Like the consequences are life and death. And when you grow up that way and you start to be, 12, 13, 14, 15 as a girl and even as a boy, but especially as a girl going through that, what is there to live for? Like, really? How do you, when you're constantly in this state of fight or flight, when it's all adrenaline all the time, it's all survival all the time, it's exhausting. And there's no point. And you kind of say this, there's no point to continuing to exist. Now, I didn't have any of the tools, and I remember going to a psychiatrist and in a very nonchalant way. I took it really harshly when he said this. He's like, "Just do it then. Just kill yourself." And I
What?
think there was one. Yes. And it was one of those things that I think what he meant is you're a coward, you're never actually going to do it, so stop being a drama queen and get over yourself. I think it was that tough love. Like, you're full of shit, Sheetal, you're never actually going to do it. So you might as well start living. I think that was the point.
That's a
That
real
is
hard gamble to take, though.
it was because like 4 years later I tried. Like, I was like, "Ooh, get busy living or get busy dying." And I was like, "Ooh, I can get busy dying. That seems like the right thing to do." By the way, if you've gotten to this point in the show, I am the main character of this story, and I, not to spoil it, but I am alive. I do
Are you
live.
sure?
I am alive. I do find a way to get there. And if you are someone who's having these thoughts, who's experienced this, who's triggered by this, who's doesn't know or knows somebody, whatever, the only thing I can tell you is one, being alone is like the worst decision ever. Don't be alone. Call somebody, find somebody, go to a doctor, do anything you get a dog. Nothing saved my life. I left home very much wanting to die. And so very quickly left home, was sexually assaulted, then wanted to die even more. And somehow a dog found her way into my life. And I went, "Oh, I can live for you." Like, she she looked at me, she depended on me, she smiled at me, the hot mess that I was. She didn't care that my laundry was on the floor. She didn't care. She actually loved that I was a mess. She ate so good. She was so happy. So me being who I was good for her. And she loved me for 17 years. That dog, and I had another dog for 15. They were Bonnie and Clyde. They loved me no matter what. They smiled at me when I walked in the door. There was nothing about me they did not like. And that was so powerful. I remember, like, I needed psychiatric care, from, you remember it. I was hospitalized a couple of times. Um and they told mom and dad, "You know what you should do? You should get her a dog." And they go, and I remember them saying, "We're not having no stinking, filthy animal in our house. She's gonna suck it up and deal. She will figure it out. We will just beat her until until she's better. There's enough rope and closets to make this girl better." And lo and behold, I leave, and a dog is all I fucking needed. Just needed a dog and a hug. If I had a dog and a hug for those 18, 19 years of my life, I probably wouldn't have had as much struggle as I did. So I get to 19, very quickly disowned by everybody. I had a boyfriend, I was in college, I had a dog, I was broke as a fucking joke, and I was alone. And what was great about that, as sad as that all sounds, what was great about that is the external voices of negativity stopped. At least outside, the constant threat of, "Just be better. You're a burden to me. You're ruining my life. You're causing me pain. Why can't you be better? Because you not being good is ruining my life. You not being good makes mom and dad call me. You not being good makes uncles and aunties call us. You not being good is costing us money. You not being good." You know how much I heard about the fact, because I needed care, how much money I cost the family?
Hmm.
Like, I heard that a lot. Like, I was worth, by the time I was 18, 19, I was worth more dead than alive, for sure. So I get to this place where now I want to live. Then I go to work, and now the voices are work voices, work stress, which I can handle. I actually kind of like it. I like the pressure, I like the stress, I like the challenge. But then you still get criticism at work. "Why are you like that? What's wrong with you? Why can't you be quieter? Why can't you be smaller? Why can't you be more timely? Why can't you remember? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that?" And you're only as good as your last mistake at work. It doesn't matter that you could build a company from 0 to 100 million. The minute it goes from 100 million to 90, you're fired. And it's like coaches, right? Like, you have to make the playoffs. The minute you don't make the playoffs, you're fired. Like, that's professional life. You're only as good as your last mistake. And so someone is already feeling like can't make mistake, can't make mistake, can't make mistake. Okay, you get disowned by your family, now you can get fired. You're still living on that high adrenaline fight or flight edge. And that's traumatic in and of itself. But in my 20s, I had the energy to compensate for the depression. And I had birth control and I had antidepressants and I found my husband at that time. So I had some support to kind of get through it and I had the energy to kind of get through it. And then having Ryan made me start bringing out cracks in the facade. Having Ryan, I was able to hide the bridge troll for a solid 10 years. I really was. Like I was able to put it away and just get on with it. Just as a British say, just crack on with it, right? Like I was able to, you know, keep calm and carry on. And then Ryan comes around and now the pressure is really on to be even better for him. And then the hypothyroidism kicked in. All of the isms that I had been burying and dealing with for 10 years and for 30 years at that point started popping back up in my life. And for a while there I was still able to manage. Like for him, still able to manage. And it would be one day after the next, one day after the next. And about the time he was 4 or 5 years old, I stopped being able to manage. I was 35 and that's when things started falling apart really, really rapidly. I couldn't rebuild the pieces of my personality, the good pieces of my personality. I couldn't bury the bridge troll. I couldn't. It just, God damn it, that bitch kept showing fuck up. like no matter what I did, I just could not bury her and put the pieces in there. It just kept cracking and crumbling and cracking and crumbling and it was falling apart. And so then I made the then the suicidal thoughts came back. Like this deepest desire to not live, not want to live, can't live. I'm better off. Everyone's better off. I can't overcome it. The Everything that I am, the true version of myself is back. And fuck. I can't get rid of her. I cannot get rid of her. And I remember very much, and I think I even said to you at one point in a moment of desperation, I'm turning into mom and I can't get off. I'm on this train and I can't get off. And so I for a couple of years I decided, okay, be in the moment, be present, get through the day, wake up, go to work, find a way to finish the day, go to sleep. Wake up, go to work, find a way to finish the day and go to sleep. And each day you woke up and went to sleep was a successful day. Each day I could do that was a successful day. It got harder and harder and harder because you think I'm waking up at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning and going to bed at like 9, 10 at night. No, I was waking up at 8 or 9 and needing to go to bed by 11 a.m. Like I was exhausted. I needed a coma every single day. And by coma, and people think, oh, it's a nap. No, I needed a full REM cycle. I was unapproachable. I
Hmm.
was unavailable to my son, to my husband, to my work, to anything. I could not function. And I remember desperately going, what's wrong? Why? I was so good for so long. I was so successful at burying this person for so long. Why can't I do it now? I don't understand. I used to be athletic. Now I'm fat. I used to be smart. Now I'm stupid. I used to have energy. Now I can't even keep my eyes open for more than 2 hours. What is wrong? Why? And it almost felt like, okay, everything that I hated about myself from my youth is back and worse. It's because now people depend on me. I can't even rely on the excuse of I'm a child. It's worse. It's so much worse. And I just okay, get there, get there, get there one day, one day, one day. And uh, uh, I did that for a couple of years, and then a couple of years, the thoughts were really getting to planning. Like how do I make my exit? How do I set it up? where nobody's harmed, like everybody, like I feel like I think at that time I was telling myself, if nobody wants this, this doesn't need to exist. This existence is horrible. There's no reason for it. There's no value to it on this planet. Li- Like you'll be fine. You'll wake up and you go, "Oh, Lolly's gone. Well, at least nobody's gonna bother me." Like that's how I felt the reaction would be. Like I kill myself, like, "Oh, she's gone. That's sad." But now she's not gonna call me with her bullshit, right? Like now, now the laundry will get done. Like this will be great. Like I, that's genuinely how that narrative went in my head.
Well, so you had asked me why I never said anything, why I never mentioned that. Hey, maybe you have ADHD, maybe you have a problem. And I think it's important to recognize that I thought these things were normal, all of it.
Yeah.
I- Even the things that you're saying right now, uh, I've thought them, I've felt them. You mentioned how we had stopped talking, when you were in your early 20s. Well, part of that was because I was failing, like actively failing. See, my sister is way more successful than me. She actually knew how to hide the bridge troll. I just failed. Like course after course, I just kept failing. And so I was like, all right, this is stupid. I'm done here. And when I had stopped talking to my sister for a while, I was kind of on my own. I also reached a point where I decided I world would be better without me. My siblings would be better without me. I was worthless. I was a waste of space. I was a drain on resources. I was just an expense that had no value. And I wasn't going to live that way. So there was a moment where I made that choice. I said, I'm done. I shouldn't be here. It's a mistake for me to be here. And I was going to do it. The only reason that I didn't do it was because I had this feeling to try. It's like, okay, I just made this decision. Let me give it a year. Let me see if I can fix it. This is with all the doctors and all the things, and I was like, okay, let me try. And my deal with myself was in 1 year's time, if I haven't fixed it, it's over. I'm going to do it. So all of these thoughts that you've had, I've had, and I thought that they were normal. And it comes from a place of toxic perfectionism. And in our culture, especially, again, it's hard to get 100. It's hard to get above 100 when there's no extra credit on the test.
Yes, and then your average is messed up because they didn't put the extra credit. So now
Right.
your 105 is 104.
Why
Like
aren't you top of the class? Why aren't you, all these different things? And when you have something wrong with you, and let me be clear here, ADHD or any other thing that you may have, if you're listening, you may say, well, but I don't have ADHD, but I have autism, or I have depression, anxiety, anything.
bipolar, manic,
Right,
any, I mean, by the way, those are just the mental ones. You have the invisible illnesses, you have the whatever physical, mental, societal,
right.
environmental struggle you have.
Heart problems or
Yeah.
social problems, whatever. You are not a mistake. Society likes to put that pressure on you that you don't conform, you don't fit in, you don't produce enough value, so you must be a mistake. But you are not. No one is worthless. Everyone has value as just a person. And we appreciate everyone who is willing to listen to us. We're crazy people. But
That's a trigger word. Can't use that word. That one and freedom. Freedom's a
yeah,
really bad
yes. But it's okay. It's okay to have problems. It's okay to have mistakes, but when you're never told that it's okay, and that's how we grew up. We were not only never told that it was okay, we were told actively that it wasn't okay and that we're terrible people.
Yeah,
Y-
I got, and this is uncomfortable, and I want everybody to understand. I have no animosity to my parents. My parents are unregulated neurodivergents themselves. They
Yeah,
don't know that, but they are.
yeah.
And they come from a very different world, a very different culture, a very different set of pressures. And I have forgiven them long, long, long ago for everything that you may hear over the course of this podcast, things that I will talk about with my parents. But like mom used to actively say, I wish you were dead. I wish you were never born.
Hmm.
You were the child I did not want. And so that's just real words. And you kind of have to go, okay, well, even my own mom doesn't want me. Like,
Hmm.
there's you kind of get to this place where, okay, it just must be real. And like you kind of make that decision. I'm very fortunate that one, I had my dogs, and then now I have Ryan, because when I go through the spiral of suicidal thoughts, right? Like every person who's ever been suicidal goes through the list of people in their life, and they make justifications of how much better off that person or those people or this thing will be in their absence, right? How horrible. And there's an element of cowardice, there's an element of hubris in being suicidal, right? Like there is an arrogance to it. There is an ego to it. And when I would go through the list, invariably I would get to Ryan, and in no shape or form do I ever can I ever find a way where he is better off without me. I just can't find it. And I'm very fortunate that I just can't find it. And so it got to the point where as I was making plans, I kept stopping at him. I couldn't get past. He was the last one. I always left him to last because I knew I couldn't get past him. Um, I couldn't find a way to justify it. And then it kind of like in my head going, well, this is a phenomenal waste of time then, because I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. And by the way, there is a reason why. Like we live in a very, you know, I live in a society and a community where there's a lot of guns around. A lot of people have guns. I will never own a gun, ever, 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 because it's too quick, it's too easy, it's too permanent.
Hmm.
If you need my TV that bad, I see no value. I'm more likely to harm the wrong person. I'm more likely to harm myself than I am to save my family from an intruder. Then that so it just doesn't justify having a gun in my home. So I will never, for these reasons, because I know my thoughts can get that dark, and in a very weak moment, it's just too easy. Like I just don't want to go down that path. But I couldn't get past Ryan, so I kind of was like, okay, this is just a phenomenal waste of time to keep thinking like this. I have to live. So the first step, here's the progression. The first step was, okay, I need to live long enough so that when I die, he'd be all right. Like, so I need to like losing your parent when you're a child, that's really traumatic. Let's not do that. So he needs to be at least an adult. You don't want it to be college. College is hard enough. So he's got to be past college. He definitely wants me at his wedding. Whoever he marries, I don't care. But if he ever gets married, but if he does get married, I think he would want me there. So I got to get past the wedding. So the wedding could be anywhere between the ages. This is the thought process in my head, anywhere between the ages of 25 and 35. Okay. That is 15 to 25 years from now, right? Like I can okay, I've made it almost 40 years this way. Okay, another 15 to 25, I'll be 65. Lots of people die at 65. I could get like I could get cancer and just not treat it. Like that's the plan. That was the plan. Like, let me just get there and
Beautiful
have
strategy.
strategic. I was ready. Like I can do it. And I can get there. And then my plan was one day after the next day and just get through the next 25 years of my life and just fucking get Alzheimer's or some car accident,
Yeah.
some form of normal way that an old person can go and just be like, I'm outie, you good, right? Like I don't have to try anymore. And then, so I got there, and then I thought, well, 25 years is a really long time. I'm really tired. Like, and then I started doing the math. I'm like, today was rough. Tomorrow's gonna be rough. The next day is gonna be rough. I don't I don't think I can do that. So then I'm like, okay, and then on top of that, I will get more and more depressed as that 25 years goes on. And so now I'm doing harm by my existence to Ryan because I'm being depressed. And I was very worried. And this is what changed my mentality. I was very worried that somewhere in that 25 years, I was going to resent him for keeping me alive. I was going to tell him. I would end up uttering the words to him, I wish you weren't here. Leave me alone. Go away. I wish you were never born. Hearing, saying to him the same words I heard.
Hmm.
I was so terrified that I would lose the control that I have built to not say those things to him because I don't believe them. I absolutely, Ryan, if you ever hear this, I don't believe them. I love you. You've saved my life. You continue to save my life. I am so grateful. And if there is some validity to, you know, what did I do in my past life to deserve this? I don't know what good thing I did in my past life to deserve my son. I don't know. There is nothing there. I couldn't have been that good to have deserved this child because this podcast wouldn't have even happened. I wouldn't have even done it on Sunday when I had my word vomit before our first episode. I was ready to give up. I'm like, this isn't for me. I can't do it. I'm stupid. This is awful. Nobody wants to hear this. And my son, in all of his aged glory, came to me and goes, Mommy, doesn't matter whether it's good. Mommy, it doesn't matter if anyone listens. Mommy, it doesn't matter any of it. I'm proud of you. You're doing something hard and scary, and I'm proud of you. And if it makes you happy, go do it. And I want you to do it. And I want to be a part of it. And I want to be part of supporting you doing it. This is a 9-year-old boy saying that to me. A 9-year-old boy. So I don't know what I did to deserve him. I don't deserve him. He is everything. And I love him so much. And I'm so grateful that he's here because that means I'm here. And if he weren't here, if something, he didn't like me, he goes off to college, I know because I did right by him. And if I can keep doing right by him, that's it. That's all I need. I can get through that. And so I made that decision like, okay, I can't just live that way. I can't just survive. I have to find a way to thrive. I have to, because God forbid I go down the path where I harm him by my existence. Then I'm in that dichotomy of I'm harming, then I could find a way to justify leaving. Because I'm harming him by existing. So I found this place of, okay, now I need to thrive. She thought if you're going to live 20 years, 30 years, however long God lets you live, in whatever God you believe in, however long you have left, you have to find happiness. You have to find a place where you can thrive. You have to find satisfaction. And when I will tell you professionally, when most of my clients met me in January, February this year, I they didn't know this, but I was ready to go. I was ready to be done. And I really leaned into I need to do work I enjoy. I don't care if I get paid. I don't care what it is. I don't care what job it is anymore. I don't care if I'm CEO ever again. I don't care what the title is. I just want to be around people I like and do work I like and be intellectually stimulated by people I care about and things I care about and say and that fuck it mentality was really a peaceful wonderful place to land. And in so doing, serendipitously, I got the wonderful clients I have now, the work that I have now that I find so absolutely fulfilling. And if any of them are listening, please don't fire me because you've heard all of this mess. Like, I love my job. I love what I do. And the addition of this podcast is finding a way to make my universe not skin tight. My safe place is not skin tight. It is the entire universe, and I can be free to acknowledge the bridge troll and recognize that she's there and she's a bitch and I hate her, but she's part of me, and it's okay that she's part of me,
Mhm.
and there's the rest of me that's also okay, and I like the rest of me. I really do. So I'm here now, and for if you've made it the whole hour that I've rambled on about my life, I'm here now. I feel better, and tomorrow I can feel bad. Like, people think, oh, it's better and it's like onward and upward. No, the dark thoughts will come back. I know I have the skill set, I have the support, I have the coping mechanisms, and I have something I'm building for myself by myself with the all the love and support of my family and friends, which is this podcast or any other creative endeavor I might engage in. I'm today I'm better and tomorrow will be better, and each day those dark thoughts will impact me less and less and less. And yes, I have Adderall. And yes, I have Dr. D. And yes, I have my brother, and yes, I have my son, and yes, I have my work that I find fulfilling, and I have so much gratitude. My heart is filled with so much gratitude, and I have and I'm gonna family name him because I can't get past that. I keep wanting to not do it. But Lalu, if you're made it this far in this hour, you probably felt called out because yes, you contributed to my sadness, but you so much contribute to my happiness. I love you. I know you're struggling too. Biggie Trog, my rock. Yes, I'm gonna call you that. It's sticking. I am very, very happy and very, very grateful and very, very motivated to find peace and happy and prosperity and thrive for however long I can do so. And hopefully this is the catalyst for continuing to do that. And so if you are experiencing ADHD and you're living with it, if you're a child of immigrant parents, if you've experienced trauma, if you've been ostracized, if you've been bullied, if you if any of what I've experienced resonated with you, there is a path if you want to find it. I promise you. It took me 38 goddamn years to find it. I somehow meandered my way here through failure and struggle, and it was hard and it was awful, but I found it. I found at least one of them. I think there's probably more than one. I found something that I can plant my feet on and take steps in front of one foot in front of the other. So if this is you and you're not diagnosed yet, or you don't know what's wrong with you and you keep telling yourself what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, or you keep hearing it from the world, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with me, there is a path to an answer. There is a path to acknowledging the parts of you that you may not like, but being this idea of what's wrong with me, the fact that you're living in a world that wasn't built for you, do- doesn't mean you shouldn't be in it. And I think it's really hard, especially with people with mental health disorders, is that there's no left-handed scissors for ADHD. Like, there isn't a way to make the society. There isn't a single set of tools. There isn't something that just makes you not have ADHD and you function like everybody else. So it's hard. And I get that it's hard. But if you don't know what's wrong and you want to know what's wrong and you think there's an answer, you're probably right. There is an answer. There's somebody who wants to find it for you. Find your Dr. D wherever you are. Find your brother, find your sister, find your friend, find your teacher, find somebody. Find a dog or a cat or a parakeet or a bearded dragon, whatever the fuck that you need. A snake. I don't care. Find your menagerie of things that allow you to take one step in front of the other, allow you to find a way to justify continuing to exist, and leave open the space that you can find an answer, because that answer can help you find peace. And once you have that little bit of peace, you can get to more peace, and you can find a place to thrive. And that's the journey I'm on now. That's the point of all this podcasting and wanting to talk and finding the space to talk, because as you can tell, it's been an hour. I talk a lot. I think this is a journey, not a destination. And so here we are. And I'm going to conclude episode 2 with that there is a before ADHD, there is a finding out you have ADHD, there is an after ADHD. And by the way, you can insert any other problem you have in your life for ADHD. And there is a before, there is a during, and most certainly there is an after. 100% there is an after, and that after can be as beautiful as you make it. So whatever it is that you're going through, know that I know how dark that can be and how hard that can be. And I also think, just like my brother said, you are valid, you belong, stay here, find your path, find somebody, find me. I'm here. I don't judge you. I'm not going to think you're broken. I'm not going to think anything's wrong with you. I believe in everybody all the time. So with that, now that we've gotten the darkness out and I didn't ugly cry, fantastic success. Let's find those
And,
silver linings.
and I do want to mention quickly, if you are currently in that dark place, and if you are currently alone, and if everyone around you is telling you that you're a mistake or you're broken or you don't belong, we've been there and
If you're
we've
if
made
you're
it out the other
brown and
side.
feel that way,
Yeah,
it's very hard. If you're Asian, you're brown, you're a child of immigrants, you're not like everybody else, and you don't think like everybody else, and your home isn't like everybody else. It doesn't smell like everybody else, it doesn't sound like everybody else. Keep
it
going.
may be it may be easy to think that listening to us, well, we're lucky ones. You know, we made it out, but that won't apply to you. I just want you to know that if you are alone and you found us, you're not alone anymore. We believe in you. We love you. And we want you here.
And with that, thank you for listening. This is episode 2. Next week, whenever I release the next one, I don't know. I'm going to talk about what it's like to my philosophy and what it's like to be a parent. Not necessarily with ADHD, because I don't really want to be, this isn't an ADHD show, but I do want to talk about parenting, because so much of me is a nurturer. So much of me is wrapped up in my identity as a parent. And I think understanding that who I am through that lens will help bring into focus some of the things I'll say when we start getting topical. So if you got this far, stick around. Hopefully the next episode will be lighter, brighter, fluffier for you, and we'll have a good time. Till next time, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you love this episode, or if you at least didn't hate it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's coming next. And hey, share it with your friends, share it with your family. Until next time, stay bold, stay real, peace out, deuces, and keep speaking your mind. See you soon.